Imagine you think you've definitely won, right? You think this guy's miles behind you, and you're just like preparing to the thing, and instead you just get lamped. Wake up a few hours later in hospital.
Did I win?
Yeah. What's going on? Where am I? It's like, no, mate. The bloke who did win decked you before the finish. See you later.
And don't worry, the entire world saw it. It's fine.
The female broadcaster. I'm not sure if you've heard the clip, but she's terribly excited by it.
It's like that Gary Neville clip where it's like, "Wah!"
Yeah, no, those are incredible scenes.
That was close than I thought, actually.
Nearly took my schnauzer. Today, we're going to bring you a bit of a kind of internal episode from the team, right? So we've got the team in here, and we're going to be going through the kind of latest big Apex update. We're going to be getting some of the Apex athletes that you've been nominating, and some of whom have nominated themselves, physically onto the show. So we're going to discuss who they are. We also might change the name. I think that we weren't really anticipating to actually go out and build these games. Like what started as quite a fun idea of finding a bunch of kind of really athletic people has led to a fair amount of traction socially and online. And as such, we don't really want another brand. So we're probably going to end up calling them the Untapped Games. We also came across a young five-a-side football team of children who call themselves Apex, and there's quite a few other Apexes kicking around. Obviously, I didn't want to have to be the guy to have to call, their parents and say that, they can no longer refer to themselves as Apex athletes. I think everyone should be entitled to call themselves whatever they want, and listen, crack on. And good luck. There's also a bunch of Apex people in Texas, of course, in Austin, Texas, as you would wholeheartedly expect. So Apex, unfortunately, is dead. Not for the children's football team or the people in Texas, but for us. We are evolving and growing into the Untapped Games. So welcome.
Do you think it was ever an error that we just called it Apex because you did a bit of ChatGPT one time, and then we just didn't, and we just never really thought to change it after?
Firstly, I find that quite offensive that you think I use ChatGPT for my creativity. All right, and secondly, no, I don't know what it was. I think we suddenly realised today, didn't we, that the F1 film is Apex GP, and I have to say, despite it being wildly inaccurate in terms of Formula One, I loved that film. Like I really loved it. Brad Pitt is just a legend, isn't he? What a hero! Like, and his character in it as well, Sonny. Oh, legend. So I don't know. I probably came. There was a bit of that. There's a bit of that, and also I don't know. I think that pretty much everyone calls himself a hybrid athlete nowadays, right? If you're healthy and fit, basically you're a hybrid athlete. Like if you run and you lift weights, then you're a hybrid athlete. If you do high rocks, then you're certainly a hybrid athlete. I think it's kind of like, no disrespect to hybrid athletes, because I may even consider myself to be a hybrid athlete and also find them fascinating, but I think it's kind of overused, and I don't know. I thought Apex sounded pretty cool, unless you're thinking about, well, an apex predator in terms of animals is very cool. The word predator itself, though, could be a bit dodgy. But other than that, you see, as you can see, I haven't put too much thought into the branding exercise of the games. I just liked it, and people seem to resonate with it. Apex Athletes, Apex Games, like it sounded cool. But like all cool names, when you do a bit of legal digging into it, often you come up against others that have had similar ideas.
Yeah, and this is an argument for maybe doing some of that legal digging before we start posting stuff about it next time.
Simon, this started, like all great ideas, this started as a bit of fun. I set out to try to find 50 freak athletes. That was the idea, wasn't it, for the show, really, like to have them on as guests and like learn how, and after a little bit of thought, it was this whole idea of the bench press and the fast running that made sense to me, because they're so counterintuitive to each other. Yeah. Like, being an excellent fast runner over long distance will certainly have an impact on your bench press, and vice versa. which can't be said for all exercises. Like if you're incredible at pull-ups, it's probably not going to affect your running. If you're incredible at bodyweight exercise, it probably won't affect your running. You know, even like squatting and deadlifting like won't have any major impact on your running. It's all leg related. As long as you stretch well, you know, strengthening your legs is probably a good thing. Whereas having a heavy upper body, right, like being physically powerful up top, will almost certainly have an impact over long distance in your speed. Like even me, who's just ran like my first sub 3, so 2:57.42 in Tokyo, felt like real pain in my back like the following days because, and I'm not some like jacked animal, but I'm far bigger than, you know, lots of people that run fast marathons, and because the muscles in my back are kind of like going up and down and dragging it, I felt like I'd been in a tumble dryer because I'm just carrying muscle that I kind of, if my sole focus was to run really fast, I wouldn't lift, so I wouldn't be carrying excess muscle. So that's the kind of, I know you know this, I'm just going over it again just in case you're a first timer to the Untapped Games. The process to get to the games is to qualify, right? And then once you're in the games is a completely separate thing, which we'll talk about for the first time properly today. And by the way, I would love input from you, the listener, as to what you would like to see at the Untapped Games, right? So, but in order to qualify, and I think there's going to have to be different, what are they called?
Stations?
Levels, capabilities. No, this is just to get in.
Oh, I see.
So we're not at the games yet. In order to qualify for the games, 10 reps of 110 kilos on the bench, clean reps, unassisted, not yanking it all over the place, clean, bar down to chest and up, straight arms, 10 reps of 110 kilos. That's a hefty bench, right? If you don't do lots of bench press, and a sub 2 hour 50-minute marathon. So 2:49.59, good. 2:50, 1 second, no good, right? And 10 clean reps of 110. That gets you in your platinum elite, like you're competing for the world champs, right? That's your Untapped Games World Championship entry, right? That's what you need to get into the games.
Do we say that's in like, to make it like really clear, should we say you've got to be able to do that within 48 hours or within 24 hours of doing one? You have to be capable of doing the other. Otherwise,
yeah,
I think it could get a bit...
So I think 24 hours is fine because you like, and if it were me, I would do the bench press middle of the afternoon the day before the marathon. 48 hours, I guess I wouldn't really have a problem with 48 hours, but if we're putting rules in place, let's do 24 hours. That gets you in, and then I think there'll be a more, still like, you know, really high end, but probably not quite elite entry level. This is where you probably get, you know, a few thousand people that are able to do this. Call it 10 reps of 100 and a sub 3 hour marathon. So like, as an example, I would be in that pool. You know, like I'm not quite at the big Larry elite level, but I can do 100 for 10 and run a sub 3 hour marathon, and I could do that within 24 hours of each other. So, and I'm sure, by the way, I know lots of people who could do that. So
do you think big Larry elite level is what we should call the top tier?
Why don't we just call it that? Big Larry elite level, and then, you know, not quite so Larry elite level for the larger pool.
Yeah.
And then, you know, if were this to be incredibly successful, you know, we can have just like average, right? which is like, I don't know, call it, you know, a 3:10 marathon and 80 for 10, which, by the way, like for your average person is pretty good going, but it's not big hairy elite level, right? So anyway, we'll come back to you with what these are going to be across male and female. Of course, we're not forgetting female. The big hairy, are we saying hairy or Larry?
I think Larry, yeah.
The big Larry elite female level is a 3 hour marathon, so sub 3 hour marathon, and 60 for 10 on the bar. We had Lucy Charles-Barclay on the show and came to an agreement that we felt that was the kind of equivalent of the big Larry elite level men. For women, once you have been vetted and achieved entry level. And by the way, what would make it really easy is like an official marathon chip time. So please don't like get in touch and say, here's, you know, a video of me shot on a flip phone, you know, with my mate in the gym, and then me, you know, hammering out a marathon on a running machine. That doesn't, it has to be an official marathon.
Well, I noticed official unofficial commented on.
Well, they've approved my time.
And they approved your Tokyo time. So I think we should enlist them to approve all the marathon times.
That's a very good idea. I like that a lot. That's a great idea. So we'll get official, unofficial, or is it unofficial, official? One of the two.
I always say official, unofficial.
The reason it must be an official marathon chip time in an official race is because of the discrepancies and differences in different data and how that's measured. You know, the way Whoop measures things may be slightly different because it's on your phone to how Coros would measure it, which has its own GPS system. So you always end up running further in an actual marathon because you're not running the true race line. You're running the course, which is obviously, you know, fitted to 50,000 runners. It's a great big thing. So you must be verified on an official marathon course, because otherwise I could run laps of Battersea Park and only register it on Whoop, and it would have me running a marathon in the big hairy elite times. And hopefully we're not boring people to death with the kind of creation of it. We just want to take people on the journey with us. Like this is quite fun for us. It's not like we're devoting countless hours in our week to actually build this thing. Like this is organically kind of taking shape and happening with your involvement. And you know, I aim to bring you guys probably the first games across elite, not quite elite, and average, you know, across male and female, probably as early as next year. You know, like I think it might be a bit of a stretch to fill Wembley this side of the year, but there appears to be quite a lot of interest in this Untapped Games, and you know, I hope you are interested. We've had over 50 people, just so that you're all aware, get in touch with us claiming that they can do these things, and I'm talking about the big Larry qualification, the sub 250 and the 110 for 10. Upon further inspection, it's quite clear that many of these men cannot do these things, right? But that is also fine. Listen, it's always good to have a goal. It's always good to aim towards something. But what is clear is that some of these guys certainly can, and I cannot wait to develop like a group of games to get these guys competing in, because like I'll be so interested in seeing these lads compete. Coming on the show, we've got Fergus Crawley, who completed a 500+ pound deadlift. So that's 227 kilo deadlift. I'm going to take a random stab in the dark, and I hope Fergus doesn't get annoyed, but I'd be very surprised if Fergus can bench 110 for 10 and run a sub 250 marathon from what I've seen. Like, there's a big difference to being an endurance animal, like to being able to run, you know, hundreds of kilometers in a few days and doing lots of Ironmans, you know, like he's also doing, and being able to just run a sub 250 marathon. It's a bit of a different beast. But anyway, love to be proven wrong. We also have Lucy Davis coming on the show. So
Lucy in Berlin this year ran a 2:56:33.
Oh, 1 minute faster than me.
We're never on then.
She's
what shoes was she wearing?
She's 1 minute. She's 1 minute and 9 seconds faster than me.
So we're not. I mean, she looks ripped and she does a lot of lifting, but we're not seeing any like what her actual kind of like lifting numbers are. So it'd be interesting to know what she can do.
Yeah. Well, it'd be great to secure our first female athlete.
She's coming on.
So she's coming on.
She's coming on in April.
Let's talk about the three we kind of know can do it.
Life doesn't always give you the chance to reset, so staying consistent with your health is crucial. As a dad, entrepreneur, and podcast host, I know firsthand how easy it is to let things slip when you're juggling many things at once. I've learned about sticking to the basics day in, day out. And for me, that's where Vitals by Heights comes in. 2 small capsules in the morning are all I need to keep my energy, focus, and recovery on track. No guessing, no hassle. I don't need a complicated routine. I need consistency. Vitals gives me the nutrients I need to keep my body in top shape so that I can handle life's chaos and still perform at my best. If you're looking for simplicity and consistency, head to height.com/Spencer and use code UT20 for 20% off your first month. What if you could feel the difference between being just good enough and being truly at your best? That's exactly what Whoop helps me do. It gives me real-time insights that let me know the choices that I'm making either help or hinder how I'm feeling. One of the things I love is the strain coach. Whoop helps me understand how hard I'm pushing my body during training, and it tells me exactly when to back off. This is crucial for making sure I don't burn out and that I'm performing at my best when it matters most. Whoop tracks how well I'm sleeping and gives me actionable tips on how to improve it. I've learned that the quality of sleep matters just as much as the hours that you get, and Whoop has really helped me to optimize that. If you want to perform at your best and understand your body better, click the link in the description for 1 month free. Start adding more life to your years today.
Well, the first one's already quite controversial, Truett Haynes, because he definitely can't do it now, right? He could do it for sure. This is the guy, by the way, if you don't know who I'm talking about, who runs marathons topless and in jeans, really, really fast marathon times. Like he ran a 2:36 Austin recently, which is obviously well within the time, and he regularly smashes 100 kilos for really high reps in all of his content. So easy for him. But he is trying to become an Olympic marathoner, isn't he? Currently.
Yeah, he wants to join the US team, doesn't he?
So he wants to become an Olympic marathoner for the US, which would mean running a marathon in 2:14, I think.
A runner must run a marathon in under 2 hours 19 for men and 2 hours 45 for women in order to qualify to enter the Olympic trials,
Right.
for which you then can get onto the team.
Okay.
So Truett is trying to run
2:19.
sub 2:19 so he can get into the trials. Still doesn't mean he'll make the team. He's still got to then beat X amount of other potential marathoners.
Given that Truett definitely was at one point, like, had both things in the locker easily, I'd still love to chat to him as an athlete. And like all he's done is chosen a lane to go, supersonically elite, right? Like, and to the whole point of the Untapped Games, like you can't be that good at one of the things without the other suffering. Like, it's not possible to be an Olympic marathoner and bench this. We can say categorically that no Olympic marathoner in the whole world can bench 110 for 10 or anywhere near it. So like, in order to get to that level of running, you must sacrifice the upper body strength. That's like the whole point of what we're talking about. But I think we found quite a cool balance with the sub 250 and 110, because it's kind of bang in the middle of, being able to go either way type thing. So Nick Barr is next. Big, strong beast. Can press 110 for 10 in his sleep, no doubt.
He's got a marathon PB of 2:39.20.
Yeah.
So he's in.
Well, he's in
on the marathon.
That was in 2023, but yes, I'm sure that I'm sure he's not fallen off too much. No verified time for recent 2026 Austin Marathon. Why is that? Why would he not say what he got in Austin? How bad was it? And then we've got Eivind Andras Vold, who he's coming on the show.
He's currently in the mountains running around with Kilian Jornet, so hasn't got the time right now.
If I'm not mistaken, it's the gentleman who survived cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like several days later, ran a very fast marathon. And he's an all-round beast. I think he even laughed at the suggestion of sub 250 and 110 for 10 being difficult. I think he even said that he could do it in his sleep or something, or that he's just recovered from cancer and he can do both things easily. All right.
Yeah, I mean, I believe him.
Yeah, no. That's fantastic. And congratulations. I think it's amazing. Look, some people are, and this is the whole point, some people are, genetically gifted. We've had a few people contact us claiming that they can do it. We've got Coach Crombie. Says he runs a 2:35 marathon and can bench 110 for 10. No worries. Dimitro Moiseyev, a 2:39 marathon and 130 kg for reps. How many reps? Lee Tuck, two-time Asian High Rocks champ. No marathon or bench time that we could find, but he certainly looks the part. And Don Barber ran a 2:49 marathon in November. He's right on the edge.
2:47 marathon.
2:47 marathon in November. Sorry. and his max bench is 130. He's right on the edge. So
he said he thinks he can do the 110 for 10 and sub 250 on the same day. He said he thinks he can do that. He's got it in the
Yeah.
pocket.
Well, look, if you can bench 130 and run a 247, then it's not, obviously he, like, I personally, from my experience, the sub 250 is the more difficult thing. But yeah, mate, he's done that before, and if he can bench 130, he'd need to bench 130 for several reps for it to mean anything. If that's 131 rep max, he may not be there for the 10 on 110. But listen, by the sounds of things, he's very close. Can we film with these guys? Can we get them in? Can we? Let's go to a gym. Let's have some fun. Let's bust out the Osmos. I think, we need to be putting these guys to the test.
I think if you think you can do this, for now, send us some sort of proof.
Yeah.
And then we'll get you on and talk about it.
Send us a picture of you. Like, you didn't run a sub 250 marathon and not take a finisher picture, right? So send us the picture so that we can see your bib. We will key it into the internet. Look at me. I'm 37. We'll key it into the internet. And we'll send it to official, unofficial, and they will tell us if your marathon time is done, and then just send us a picture, like a little iPhone video when you're next in the gym of you pressing 110 for 10.
Going to surf the internet again, iPhone video.
Yeah. Send us a flip phone video, and I'm going to surf the web.
Yeah.
Okay.
Send us your MySpace account. We'll find you. So just before we move on, Coach Crombie, he's been quite active on the comments. He thinks we're like dodging him, like this is like a fight or something.
Dodging him.
Yeah.
Listen, this is the first I've heard of this, right, Coach Crombie? We're not dodging you. We're not. Well, I'd love to see you. If you can do it, we'd love to have you in, mate. Just prove it, mate. Listen, we're not dodging anyone. As I say, anyone can say anything. We would like to see some evidence, please. And then, once we receive the evidence, I'll sign you up myself to be one of the first contenders of the Untapped Games.
What if we're actually going to get, we might cut this out, but so we're going to get Seb Coe on the show. And maybe we should just use the opportunity to pitch him.
What, to try and get the Untapped Games to the Olympics?
Yeah.
I think it's pretty early for that as a discussion.
So you think we should
came
do
up
it
with
first?
the name today? I think. Listen. I've got. High Rocks are making a big play to be an Olympic sport. That's actually kind of like those conversations are happening. Personally, I'd be pretty surprised if that happened. But you never know,
They always add not random stuff, but like each country, every time they host it, gets to add a sport for their Olympics. So like, was it Australia?
I think before we set our sights on like Olympic glory, it would be handy to kind of like get maybe like one games done.
Proof of concept.
Yeah. And if it's like, a crazy wild success, then maybe we'll do like, several hundred more. And then maybe we'll say,
okay,
let's think about the Olympics. But I think for now listen, nothing would please me more, right?
Do you know what the sports that have been added to the Olympics are? Shall I tell you them?
Yeah.
Flag football. So that's touch rugby, but American football. Squash.
I mean, why are you putting that's better than flag football?
No, that was me going. No, squash would be cool.
Well, squash is cool.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
cricket, T20 cricket.
Yeah.
Lacrosse.
Yeah.
And softball.
These are very American sports.
Yeah, I don't know. What did we add in 2012? We added golf and tennis, I think we added, which is still in. So sometimes they keep them, sometimes they don't.
But like kind of tennis should be an Olympic sport, surely.
And thanks to us, it is.
Well, yeah. But what, did it only come in 2012?
I think so.
Tennis. Hopefully, when do you reckon... When do you reckon...
Tennis has been an Olympic sport since the inaugural 1896 Athens Games.
You are a fucking idiot, honestly. That is just mad.
I thought it went away.
Obviously, tennis is an Olympic sport, mate. When do you reckon paddle will be made an Olympic sport? 100% it will be. Yeah.
I mean, it definitely will get in, but
it will be for sure. Do you know what I find bizarre with paddle? Anyway, we're getting slightly off piece, but when they like bash it out of the court and the guys manage to get out of the court and return.
Yeah, I don't know why that's a thing.
But that's insane, by the way.
Yeah.
Like so when I play paddle, which is every so often, if I smash the ball and it goes out of the court, it takes anyone that I'm playing with like a good few seconds to just like realise that the ball's gone. You know what I mean? Like, and that's the same for me. Some bloke hammers it down the floor. It's like imagine having the sense to get out of the court and hit it back in by the time it's nonsense. They're like little rats.
I think they should introduce that into more sports though. Wouldn't football and rugby be better
If the ball
when the ball went out,
yeah.
if someone in the crowd just chucked about it and you just carried on?
Yeah.
That'd be better.
Well, you wouldn't want to be playing away ever.
But that's good. Yeah, but that's good though. You want to have like a real home versus away advantage.
Let's focus on our games instead of trying to change the rules of rugby, which I think we've got very limited chance of doing. What will these games actually look like?
Most of us only check our health when something feels wrong, but by the time symptoms show up, your body's often been sending signals for a while. I like to know what's really going on inside my body. That's why I've partnered with Randox Health. They offer medically backed health checks that put you in control, helping identify imbalances early before they become bigger problems. Their Every Man and Every Woman health assessment tests up to 150 biomarkers, including your hormones, nutrition, liver, kidney, and heart health. And it gives you personalized advice to help you feel better and prevent illness in the future. The best part is there's no need for GP referrals and no long waiting lists. Just clear answers fast. You simply book your appointment online, visit one of their 40 clinics, and your results appear in the Randox Health app within just 2 hours of your tests arriving at the lab. Whether you're chasing big performance goals or you just want to improve your everyday health, book a test today at randoxhealth.com and save 20% with the code UNTAPPED. So here's a cheeky confession. I've never actually been to a World Cup football match, but 2026 feels a bit different. It's happening in Seattle, which is one of my favourite places in the world. Seattle has this amazing energy. It feels very untapped. You can wake up with a cup of legitimately some of the best coffee you've ever had. By the afternoon, you're in the stadium watching one of the biggest football tournaments on the planet. We only do partnerships on Untapped that I'm genuinely interested in and passionate about, and that usually is in the world of sport and optimization. So this might not be the kind of thing that you're used to hearing from us, but I truly think that Seattle is one of those places that everyone should visit if they get the opportunity. So if you're even thinking of heading out for the World Cup, make Seattle top of the list. Discover more at visitseattle.org.
Okay, so let's first set the scene. So this whole Untapped Athletes thing is to qualify for
the games.
For the games.
Yeah.
It's the one part of the process we've not really described yet, which is that what is this, ideally this big arena event thing that will take over the world.
Well, again, it's going to take over a football field for the day. An arena with a football field like style setup would be the ideal place, providing it's popular enough, we have enough applicants, right? So I think we'd have to do it in 2 tranches. We'd have to have the big Larry lot, later or first, and then the kind of more mass market middle section on the same day, I would have thought. And then there's going to be a series of games, right? So your mind might take you to CrossFit, it might take you to High Rocks. This is a little bit different, right? I want to test not only speed and strength, but agility, balance, accuracy, grit, determination, will, all of this stuff. It's not just athletic, right? So I have an idea for an example to have a series of ice baths there, all set to 0, right? And we may choose to do this in the middle of winter. And I want to see if you can sit, like how long you can sit in the ice bath for. And like, obviously we'll keep it safe so that you don't go into, early onset hypothermia or whatever, but there'll be a max limit of say 7 minutes, right, on a 0 degree ice bath. Like anything longer than that, I think you could be looking at a bit of danger. We'll obviously have medical people there, but I want to see if you can sit still in a 0 degree ice bath for a long period of time. If you do the full 7 minutes, you get the full amount of points. If you jump out after 2 minutes, you get a smaller amount of points. That's kind of like just will, the desire to win, right? So that's a test, as well as kind of sprinting, dead hanging, things that test strength that often isn't tested. How long you can hold a handstand, maybe, could be one of the things. These are all things for athleticism. Like, I'm not just interested in speed and strength, although obviously a lot of it will revolve around how strong and how fast you are, and what a good engine you have. We'll be testing your VO2 max, not as an official VO2 max test, but just like, the fitter you are, the more points you will receive. Some log chopping, like how quickly you can split a log down the middle. I think that there's one of those like really long thin bars that you have to run down. So like we can do the whole length of the football fields on like a bar that might be like a foot wide, and it's a race to see how fast you can get down the end of the football field. And if you fall off the bar, you got to start again. You get 3 goes, so you'll be more cautious obviously as your goes diminish, because if you don't finish at all, you get 0. You know, I want to know if you can sprint the bar, basically a good test of balance. There can be like things that you have to climb up and do things along the way, you know, like a tower of sorts. So testing your strength climbing, and you know, maybe you have to juggle something halfway up it and then get the full way to the top and then come all the way down with a rope hang.
So I think that's one of the better ideas. I like the idea that it's like Tower of Doom, where each level is another test.
Right.
And it's you could literally zoom out and watch people racing up this thing, doing each challenge as they go, and it's whoever gets and getting to the top in the quickest time plus the points.
I like that. I also like that. Like again, look, you'll see that there's plenty of ideas and that we have not formulated a clear path forward. but I do think that a cool idea is like how many 3-pointers you can throw in 60 seconds. So like you have unlimited basketballs that are just being provided to you. You're stood on the 3-point line. How many 3-pointers can you hit in 60 seconds? Because it may be that you're like super strong, super athletic, like all these things that hybrid athletes consider themselves to be. But like, how many 3-pointers can you hit? I'm interested in that, right? Like I look at people like Justin Bieber and like some people who you wouldn't expect to be like really gifted athletes. Justin Bieber's an amazing athlete. I don't know if you know that. But like he can play 8 musical instruments to grade 8, as well as throw like unlimited 3-pointers on a basketball pitch. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Like it's mental. Like, but that's really cool. Like he's really good at that. He's really good at baseball as well, randomly. Like, do you know what I mean? And so I want to know if with all of this speed and muscle mass, whether or not you can remain agile and accurate.
It almost sounds like a Super Mario level. You know, you got the whole section underwater, then back up,
and you got to do the whole thing on shrooms.
Yeah.
But we only tell them that on the day they arrive.
What about the idea that you could actually almost do it like a bracket? So it would almost be like head to head. So you could kind of seed the people based on how they had qualified, and then have a series of head to heads.
Oh yeah,
with like a final.
No, this is a race. I think you'd start like 5 people off at the same time, and there's 5 sets of each of these things, and you've got to go from thing to thing, and you finish. And like you're full time, but you may have to bail on one of the things, so you don't get any points. So you amass points over the course of the course, and then you finish, and that your time in itself is worth points.
I think what's good about this as well is I think it opens up the idea that like athletes from sports would want to try and give it a go. Because I don't know I'd be shocked if LeBron James could run a marathon in the time you need. He could definitely do everything else.
Yeah, but he's not allowed in, mate.
But he's not. But I'm just saying. But maybe there is a basketball player out there who could do it, and then they would be really good at some of the skill stuff, and maybe not quite so good at some of the. They'd be good enough to get in, but maybe not as elite as some others. But they'd be really good at all the skill stuff.
This is kind of like a Squid Game setup.
Yeah. So it's the last one alive.
Yeah, no, we're not going to kill anyone. But it's kind of like it is almost more like that vibe. In fact, like, do you eliminate people as you go? I think it's kind of cool.
Well, talking,
so you don't even get to do all the things, right? If you come last in your group, maybe you're just out.
Well, some of it's got to be an IQ test in a way.
Yeah.
So there's got to be a little bit of tactics as well.
Oh, you mean not an actual IQ test? No,
No,
you don't have to be intelligent, I don't think, to be involved in this thing.
You don't have to be intelligent.
No, you can just come along. Yeah. You don't need straight A's at school as well, you know. Yeah.
But there could be like some.
We're not looking for like the best people on earth. Like this is athletes. Yeah.
But like, there should be like, but tactically though, it could be quite interesting. So like, if you could deceive someone in some way, that they like eliminate themselves, well then you should have been.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, maybe there might be the odd bit of trickery.
It's going to be quite extreme, I think. Ultimately.
Yeah.
It has to be like the most extreme. These are supposed to be the most extreme athletes. We've got to test them in the most extreme ways.
Yeah.
So like one day it should just be freezing cold and then way too hot the next day, whatever. Everyone's just going to get a horrible cold. But
So we're like, so this is like the Hunger Games now. Are we controlling the climate?
well, indoors you could though, couldn't you?
We'll just make it boiling and then freezing. That's actually quite good. I like it. I like it. People need to feel desperately uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
Like, this is not like, this is no disrespect to high rocks, but like this isn't high rocks, right? Like literally anyone can turn up and do a high rocks, and I've got my buddy he's better at pulling the sled, and I'm better at wall balls. So like that's lame, right? You've got to do the whole thing like yourself, right? No teams.
In fairness, if you do that voice, anything sounds lame.
I don't know, like, you know what I mean? I just think, like, if I were doing high rocks, I would go with a super jacked mate who's like really good at pulling sleds and stuff, and then I would do all the running. I'd just do
Is
the
this
eight.
sort of like a mice of men situation?
I don't know, but just like there's no point, right, in bringing a buddy along who's better than you at some of the things. Like that's not a test. I don't know. I've never really liked high rocks, I have to say. I liked it even less when I found out it stood for hybrid rockstar.
Yeah, no, that is
That
really
when
bad.
I didn't really like it anyway, but when I heard that, I went, oh no. And they're like, listen, they're far more established than we are at this stage, but
You've
but
got to do better than that, though.
you do have to do, like they should have done better than that. I don't think anyone who does high rocks is even happy about it.
No.
I've not met anyone who is a big fan of high rocks that likes the name.
Yeah. Well, Jay Dearden, I remember, he wasn't a big fan of it.
No. Well, like, you know, my pals Mike Murray and Josh Rose do high rocks all the time, and like I don't like it. They like high rocks.
Yeah.
It's just, you know, hybrid rockstar is that's
But maybe
a crazy thing.
But maybe they also saw the under-9s youth football team that we saw on because they wanted to call it Apex originally.
I still wouldn't call it hybrid rockstar.
No,
Even
never
if
call it that.
Even if it was the last decision, I'd rather call it toffee banana.
Yeah.
I would.
Yeah. In the endurance marathon world, first bit of news, I suppose, is that you have got your PB in Tokyo.
I did. I secured a 2:57:42 minute PB in the Tokyo Marathon. And let me tell you something. All signs were not pointing to success in the days that in the days leading up to it. It was pretty rough, actually. Tokyo, firstly, is miles away. Right, it's like the time difference is just mad. Like you can begin talking to people you love back home at 4 p.m. Right, 4 p.m. is 7 a.m. and you're wrong by a whole day. So flying out there, you lose a full day out of nowhere. Well, I left. I mean, this is obviously not news to people, but it's still quite interesting. I left the house at like 6 p.m. on like the Tuesday and got to the hotel at like 6:30 p.m. on the Wednesday. So it's like you're 24 hours like from London time. So it felt like quite a lonely experience, if I'm honest. Like I love the guys that we were with, but we weren't like all staying together. And I was there for like a day completely on my own, which I don't love, to be honest. I walked around with my Osmo and just shot Tokyo. But it's quite like, obviously there's a massive language barrier. So like, it's not like you can just like chill and chat to people. Although like supermarkets and stuff are remarkable. They speak English. Like I'd go to the front and they'd be like, oh, please pay here. It's like, if a Japanese person were in London, you wouldn't hear like the London bloke at the chip shop just busting out Japanese. So like, it's quite, I thought it was amazing. That like, there was a surprising amount of Japanese people who spoke English, albeit broken English, but still enough to get by. So I was pretty surprised by that. And I don't know, it was a great experience, but it was also just quite, you know, when you're tapering, I don't know if you know this actually, but when you run a lot, so when you run, you know, hundreds of miles in the lead up to a marathon. So I decided to do Tokyo Marathon like 8 weeks before the marathon, right? So like 7.5 weeks before the marathon. I had not trained fast marathon running, you know, since Project 7, obviously. And in the lead up to that, I wasn't really training speed either. So it'd been a while, you know, and so I thought 7 weeks is quite rough to get that right. Basically, it's not a long time to dial down where I was, which was 3:06 something in Berlin. Anyway, took the took the offer to go with these guys who I now love, Shane McGuigan and Josh Rose, and we had an amazing time. But it was pretty serious. And that's not saying that they're like particularly serious, like they're lovely guys, but like we took it pretty seriously, like we're carb loading like perfectly, and you know, obviously not drinking any alcohol and trying to get to bed really early, and like the whole thing was it was a bit like a training camp, you know, when we were there. Hardly doing any running in Tokyo at all, like no more than 5k a day type thing. So just like tapering off the running, and my shins just like blew up to hell. Like in the last few days in London, they were really bad. I went for a deep tissue massage in the shins, shin splinty style stuff, like really, really, really sore, like really sharp, aggressive pain all the way down the shin bone, to the point where I nearly didn't go to Tokyo. I was calling people going like, is this gonna like tone down or go away? And they were like, no, like it'll be fine. Just like don't do anything on them. Bought a box set fresh of Alphaflys for the race, because obviously we'd been talking about these Prime X3s not being legal for professional athletes and in certain settings. And, you know, there was a ton of back and forth about whether I should wear these things, because I love the shoes and I'm really comfortable in them. But I got comfortable with the idea of wearing Alphaflys and put them on just in the time I was in Tokyo, and literally like I couldn't run. Like I literally couldn't run, and like I'd like pick up a bit of pace, and a couple of k's in, I'd have to stop running. I'd have to take the shoes off. I'd have to like massage like deep into my shin bone. It was like could barely walk back to the hotel. Big problem. The guys I was with were like, mate, you can't run on Sunday. Like, you know, your shins are a serious problem. Put the Prime X3s back on later that day. Went out for like a little jog. And it just felt like a lot better, like a lot more supported. And obviously I think because I've done so many miles in them, my like shins, legs, whatever, just got quite used to those. And then changing the shoe just really wasn't helping. So just decided to wear those, right? Because I knew that I'd have serious problems with the Alphaflys. And then, yeah, just like, but the Alphafly thing was a real problem. I'll wear them for London. I'm doing London. I don't think there's any like serious difference in time at my level. Like I think if you were Kipchoge, he might gain like seconds maybe from wearing the slightly more technical shoe. I think at my level, I'm not convinced that the heavier Prime X3 is actually more beneficial over, you know, 42 kilometers than an Alphafly. But anyway, I knew that I'd probably get some shit from wearing the Prime X3, but I didn't really have a choice at the time. I could have gone and bought some Pro 4s or something a bit different, but what I did know was I couldn't even walk in the Alphaflys. So like, and that, like, I love Alphaflys, by the way. But
and is that because if you train in that level of super shoe, the way everything kind of gets a bit used to that, but then when you take away what it does, that can then give you the. I think Ali Browning said that, didn't he?
I think so. From my experience, like mixing up the shoes is not a bad idea. So, but not mixing up like different plates. You know, like if you're training in the Prime X3 and you have like a Nike Vomero Plus for the slow long runs, and then you do your speed work in the plated shoes, that's kind of fine. It keeps everything guessing a bit, and like your body reacts to both things, and it's almost like when you're running in the Vomero Pluses, you're getting a break from the plate, and vice versa, you're getting a break from the heavier thudding, you know, when you're wearing the plate, and so it nets out. Whereas when I did a lot of running in the plates, I hardly did any slow running at all. I mostly ran speed sessions, and I mostly used the Prime X3s in training, and so I think I just got very used to that dynamic. So that level of rigidness, that level of support, that level of drop, like, you know, the whole thing was just kind of embedded in me. So then when I swapped that out, I think had I swapped it out to a soft shoe, it would have been fine. But when I swapped it to a new rigid Alphafly with a new plate in it, I think it just made things worse. Like I could feel it in the shins in London a bit, and then when I put on the new plate, my body just said like, I'm not having this new plate type thing. So I don't know. It was a bit worrying. I did a piece to camera in the hotel. I was furious actually, because you kind of had really felt like you'd wasted your time at that point, because I've taken the training really seriously. I've done like, probably 6 proper sessions a week for 7 weeks. Didn't touch a drop of alcohol at all. Went to bed, as close to 9 p.m. as I possibly could every single night, for the 7 weeks. Ate really clean and healthy. Took all my supplements, just basically just like did everything I could to give myself an edge on the day. To be crippled with shin splints like the day before was really annoying. So I just made the decision. I kind of felt like the decision was made for me to wear the Prime X3s, and I had an amazing race. One thing's for sure. I PB'd by a really, really, really big margin, like 8.5 minutes. The shoes are not shaving 8.5 minutes off Berlin. I may have had some seconds, potentially a minute, but as well, the difference between running a 3-hour marathon and a 2:57:42 is pretty big. That's significantly under 3. So I guess my argument would be that, regardless of what shoe I was wearing, I would have sub 3'd that day. If my shins didn't hurt, I would have been perfectly happy in Alphaflys or Pro 4s.
Well, talking of Alphaflys, have you seen the latest prototype of the new Alphaflys has been revealed?
I have.
I've just put up a picture on your.
It's a.
They look pretty hefty, I'd say.
I mean, they look very similar to the 3s. If this is the finished prototype, the 4s don't have the air bubble at the front at all. That's the thing I like the least about the Alphaflys, is that like they're plated, but they also have this air bubble at the front, and there's a corner of the air bubble that's not really supported. It's got quite a thin layer of the rubber that hits the road, and then there's like quite a sharp drop off. So if you run a lot in Alphaflys, which I have over the course of my running in recent years, that bit breaks. It might also be because I'm 85 kilos and I'm obviously quite a heavy runner, but that breaks. And then you've got this like disjointed bit where you're supposed to have the lovely rocky support at the front, but it's kind of caved in a bit because of the distance between the air bubble and where it picks back up in the rocker. So there's this like, if you have a pair of Alphaflys, you'll see it. You can press a part of the shoe that should be really firm, in my opinion, and it's not firm because of the air bubble. So I don't know. These look a lot more shaped like the Prime X3s, which have a super solid base, which are really firm and have absolutely no give whatsoever, with a big rocker, which appears to be what Nike have adapted. So
it's exciting stuff.
I like them. I like the look of them. I think they're really cool.
In other shoe news, if you scroll down a bit more, Lidl are going to bring out their own carbon plated running shoe that will cost only €49. How much were your Prime X3s?
380, I think.
Okay.
No. Sorry, no. My Prime X3s were 250. Sorry, my Prime X3s are 250. My new set of Alphaflys were 288, not 388, 288, because they're the new Canary things, and they've just whacked 30 quid extra on the cost of them. So no.
Do you think these would be $200 or euros less shoe? We have to get them, I think, and find out.
We are going to get them in, and I am going to review them.
They come out today.
Do they?
Apparently they're out today.
It could be a play. Obviously, when you buy a set of super shoes, you're paying for the technology and the research and development of that technology, but you're also paying for the brands, right? Like, there's no way that Lidl have put in as much tech and research and credibility as Adidas or Nike. I would have thought that much is obvious. However, they will have put a foamy stack, in the bottom of the shoe with a carbon plate or something similar to carbon in a similar way than these large companies do, you'll suspect that there's just a bit less margin in the way that they do it, because they're entering in order to try and steal, share from people who buy super shoes but find them very, very expensive, which most people do, right? Like most people go, do I really need this pair of Alphaflys for my marathon? And eventually, they subside to it because they think, I want any edge that I can have in the marathon, because obviously, I want to do well in this thing that I've prepared for. So I guess Lidl are looking to kind of, undercut that mentality and say, this is also a super shoe, which you can get for 49 quid. So why spend 250 on it? We'll see.
Now, this says to me as well, surely, if you've got €50 shoes from Lidl and 280 quid shoes from Nike, somewhere in the middle, an Untapped shoe, perhaps?
Listen to this. I think in order to do these things well, it's quite difficult.
I've thrown out quite a lot of ambitious ideas today, and you've been bringing some realism to the table, which is probably necessary, but also surprising.
I would buy a super shoe from a brand that I trust. That's why I wouldn't gravitate towards the Lidl super shoe, because it is not a focus of theirs to create great running
The
shoes.
focaccias are great, though.
Exactly.
So they do a really good
If I needed
focaccia.
something to eat,
Yeah.
maybe I'd go to Lidl. And even then, but I'm very happy to try the shoes. They're even if there's a good few runs in them, for the price they're going to fall apart. Even a good pair of Alphaflys are significantly worn after like a couple of marathons, 80k, something like that. The Prime X3s have like 400-500k in them. They're a sturdier shoe. They're a lot heavier, by the way. Like, before anyone gives me shit about wearing Prime X3s, they're much heavier than the Alphafly. If you were to put into ChatGPT which shoe is faster over marathon distance, the Adidas Adizero Pro 4, the Nike Alphafly 3, or the Adizero Prime X3, Prime X3 would come last in that list. They would see it as the biggest hindrance to a marathon. So if anything, you could probably knock a bit of time off my marathon time for wearing clogs.
Do you want to see what ChatGPT thinks an Untapped super shoe would look like?
Is it a belter?
Not sure I'd call it that.
Oh, yeah, I like it. Why would you say that's shite?
I don't understand the mountain bit.
Shoes cool. What are we talking about? Sick. Like, maybe we should do some shoes.
I like how they've just written carbon plate on it.
Yeah. Mate, they're quite sick. Look at that U on the tongue.
Oh, that is quite cool,
Yeah.
No, I'm quite into it.
I like it. I'm quite into it. God, AI is crazy, isn't it? Why would you have, like, honestly, like, I'm not being funny, but why have a marketing team? Genuinely, like.
Well, you just got me with a laptop just shouting stuff.
Create me a bunch of images that I can post over the next few. There you go, boom, done. Crazy.
Yeah, it's just making another one now.
I think that's a really cool shoe. Genuinely, I actually genuinely think that's quite cool.
The LA Marathon has just happened. As people are hearing this, it would have been a week or so ago.
Okay.
They announced that because of the heat,
Yeah.
you could finish early.
I don't like that. I think it's ridiculous. Like, I genuinely, I don't mean to sound so bent out of shape by it, but like when I saw that, I just thought that's slightly ridiculous. I know that it's really hot, but that's part of the challenge. Like, if you're going to do a very hot marathon, then go slower, fuel better, drink more. The marathon is the marathon, right? So like, that's like saying, I'm going to go and race 800 meters, but if you feel like pulling over at 500, that's fine. That's ridiculous. Like, it's an 800 meter race. So I don't know. I saw that and just thought that it was really lame and a bit annoying. And I understand, by the way, probably more than most, that running marathons in very hot conditions can be dangerous. I ran 30 of them back to back in conditions that were a lot hotter than 27 degrees. So I do get it, but like, a marathon is a marathon. So it's not, you can't, like, you can stop at 18. You can't get a finisher's medal though. That's ridiculous. Why, like, what incentive do people have to finish the race?
So I guess it's Obviously, the professionals still ran the full marathon. This is just for
Well, of course,
yeah. But
You can't have.
but how do they land on 18 miles?
I don't know.
That's
is there
quite
a
a risk.
reason?
I don't
I don't know.
so.
I just think it's like, if you're doing the marathon, you've prepared for the marathon. It's a bit of a kick in the teeth for people who do the full distance. Do you know what I mean? And then there's that awkward question of like, oh, did you run the whole thing? Because you have a marathon medal on. So it incentivizes you to quit early, which is another reason I don't like it. And, listen, we've all had shocking experiences with sport. And if you want to quit, you quit. That's fine. Like, if you have to stop, stop. Nobody's saying that, like, you have to run the full thing, but you can't be rewarded with a medal for stopping.
But is the problem that it was a finisher medal? So according to them, so it's the McCourt Foundation who run the marathon. They describe it as like, if you're having a tough day, you can go home with the medal if you just take the turn at the 18-mile mark. There's obviously just like some geographical reason why that made sense. So they just said that as a thing. So it was very casual. If they didn't call it a finisher's medal, I think it would have been less of it. So like, if they basically said like, if you turn up today, you're going to get a medal. It's not finisher's medal. You get a medal. And then if you finish, you still get a finisher's medal.
I think if they went through the trouble of creating a special medal for that, like an 18-mile medal or a smaller medal, sure, that's not a problem. I don't mind people finishing the race early. It's being rewarded with a finisher's medal. That's not, it's not honest. That's like doing the race to the Stones, which is a 100k race, having a mare at 80, pulling over, stopping, and them just going, well, here you go, like, have a medal anyway. It's like, well, no, you've not succeeded. You haven't completed the distance. So, like, come back next year and do it properly.
According to 3 Wire Sports, it's snowflake culture run amok.
Yeah, listen, I didn't. Yeah, I'm with them. I'm with them. I wouldn't say it quite as bluntly, but I'm with it. Like, it's not something that's going to ruin my day either. But Josh Rose from Tokyo sent me this. He was like, "What do you make of this?" And I was just like, "Well, it's obvious rubbish." Okay, put it this way: if I failed in that marathon and I had to pull off at 18, I wouldn't take the medal. Put it that way. Yeah. I would say no, thank you. I actually don't want to be reminded of this. I don't want to look at. I don't want my kids asking to see my medal when I haven't done the thing I set out to do. I nearly failed in Berlin. As you know, not to go over stuff. Berlin was 26 degrees. I pushed really hard. I got to halfway. I threw up twice. Everyone was packing in around me. Loads of people were just pulling off to the side and stopping. I hadn't really made a big deal of running Berlin. I very nearly just walked off the course and went back to the hotel. I wouldn't get a medal for that. Like, that's ridiculous. So I thought to myself, no, actually, I've come all the way to Berlin. So sack up and get on with it and stop allowing these ridiculous thoughts of quitting into your head when you're fine.
It just, the bit I don't get is I don't think anyone, so lots of people, like you say, stop marathons before the end. That happens all the time, right?
I saw a guy, do you want just as quick, like I literally nearly like picked this guy up, right? I couldn't believe it. Tokyo. I knew that I had sub 3 in the bag pretty early on. I was running 4:06 average. I did 7 sets of the 8 sets of 5k that I was clocking at 4:06 average pace. I need to be doing like 4:14s, right? So I'm miles ahead of time. I've got 7k left, right? 1 set of 5 and a 2k finisher. And I started to slow down a bit. And I was like, oh, that's fine. Like, I was doing the maths in my head and I was like, even if I ran each kilometer at like a 5:40 pace, I'll still make it sub 3, right? Because like that's how much time I've banked. So, and I was running 4:20s or something at the slowest end of it from 4:06. So I knew I was just comfortable. So I started to just relax and I wasn't paying attention to the time and I was trying to take in bits and bobs because I was hammering it before. And we got to like 300 meters from the line. We could see the finish line. And a bloke that was running next to me just stopped. And he was running quite fast. So he was ahead of me. So he was also sub 3, right? And he stopped and sat down on the side and just like put his hand on his head. And I literally looked at him. I nearly went like, hey, like, is it like it's there? Like, do you know what I mean? It's crazy. Couldn't believe it.
And just to be clear, so what you actually did was just...
No, I just ran past him. Why would I? I don't know the guy, but I did have a really good stare at him to make sure that like he wasn't having a heart attack or something. But he pulled over. And
I thought you meant you could like had a good stare in to make sure he knew you were disappointed.
Oh no, obviously I was disappointed, but like I think he was disappointed in himself. There's 300 meters left to go. Genuinely, were you to break both your legs, like you'd get to the finish line. Crawl or do something, whatever. Like just get. Don't stop with when you've done 41.9k. Like you are very much there. I couldn't believe it. Guys, thanks very much for listening. It was a great pleasure to bring you a slightly different episode today. Again, please remember to write into us. For all things Untapped Games, for all questions and queries, please do reach out to us. We love hearing from you. For any suggestions for the games themselves, again, please send those in. Also, if you know of anyone that you think could do really well competitively as an athlete of the Untapped Games, again, please do reach out to us. Lots of love. If you enjoyed this episode, drop us 5 stars and a review. It does help other people find the show. And we will catch you next week with a fresh episode of Untapped.